Hello folks, Jason Chrisman, JC's Bees, your Central Ohio beekeeper. Today is February 17th, Thursday the 17th to be exact. Last Saturday, I looked out the window and noticed FedEx leaving 3 large boxes labeled Apimaye at the end of my driveway. So like a little kid, I tried to scramble up there real quick. The problem is we had ice and snow from the week before still on the ground, and it was in the process of trying to melt. So that ice and snow became a total sheet of ice in our yard. So getting up there was a challenge. To give you an idea, from our door to the end of our driveway is about 100 yards. So I had a little distance between here and there, but I could clearly see these giant boxes calling my name.
Come get me now. Come on. Come get me now. You know you want to open me.
You know, I had to get up there. So I scrambled up there. When I got up there, I realized maybe I could use this ice to a benefit and used it to slide my boxes back to the house. So that worked rather well. It was still kind of challenging to stay on my feet. Anyway, I got the boxes back to the house. I quickly cleared an area and began unboxing them. And I want to share that with you today. Now, after I got them unboxed, I took some time, read the instructions. Actually, I read them that evening. And then the next day, I put together another little clip showing you the 2 hive kits that I got from Apimaye and explaining how they work. Now, I'll go ahead and tell you now that the kits I got, one is the Ergo Plus Hive Kit, and the other one, this is going to be a big one for you people that want to upgrade your wooden boxes to Apimaye. This is called the Apimaye Wood Hive Upgrade Kit. So if you're interested in Apimaye and you have a lot of wooden boxes, you might want to pay attention to this. So anyway, without any further delay, let's check out the unboxing and then we'll flip it around and I'll show you how the hive's set up and what they're all about. Okay, so let's dive right in here. And what we have here is one of the brood boxes for the Ergo Plus Beehive Kit. So what I'll do is I'll take the rest of this out of the box, then we'll kind of go over it and see what's here. This looks like the bottom board. Some instructions. Some hardware. Looks like some of the latches that go on the side of the box. These are top hive feeders. And this would be the outer cover, which is insulated. Wow, I cannot believe the weight that has to it. It feels extremely solid. If you look here in the corner, you can see this hole. What that is, folks, that is like great stuff foam filling this whole inside of this lid, making it very well insulated. Durable. Alright, one more box. You got Nosy Bud in here. Ladybug's helping. Ladybug helping. She's just as curious as I am. Aren't you, Ladybug? Got more instructions. We've got a queen excluder. Ladybug's out. She's scared. Last night after I got everything unboxed, shut the camera down and I went and sat down with the instruction booklet. And I must say, the instructions with these hives are far more in detail than any other set of hive instructions I've ever received. Usually it's a sheet of paper, usually in black and white, and that's about as detailed as it gets. But this here is just mind-blowing. So we've got about, I think there's 10 pages here, 14 pages, and the Ergo manual. So I sat down with this last night and just kind of read over it to get myself acquainted with the hive, and today I want to kind of go over it with you and show you what is included. So what we have here is the Apimaye brood box with the bottom board already attached. It's one piece at this moment, and I believe if we flip it up all the way, there is screws going around here that you can take out to remove the box from the bottom board. We're going to go over the bottom board here in a second, but before we do, it came with 10 of their Pro frames, and these frames are kind of unique. They break apart in the middle. Probably help if I had a hive tool. I do have my pocket knife. So you break the frame apart in the middle. You simply lay your foundation in there, and there's little pins going around the foundation or the frame that you just snap it back together. And you can use wax foundation or plastic foundation. So I will be inserting some Pagmr foundation in these frames. Now another unique thing about them, besides them splitting in the middle, is these dividers that we see here. Most frames don't have those. Now those will be extra support for your wax foundation, or they could be helpful if you're doing cutouts. Now you don't have to take rubber bands from side to side. You could put a little piece in here and run your rubber bands this way, and put little pieces in for the bees to expand from. So very unique frames. So let's go ahead and pull these out and set them off to the side. And we'll take a peek at the bottom board. What we'll do here, make this a little easier for you to see. So you can see they've got a good 2 inches here on the front for a landing board. And then they've got these doors that close. Those are your entrance reducers. You can open them up however far you want. Of course, you can only go to that point on each side, but that gives you a nice wide opening. And you can adjust them. Now you know, I know this right off the bat with this. With this system, I no longer need to remove entrance reducers in the spring, and then in the fall remember where I put them. Everything stays with the hive. And then another thing is, I don't have to install mouse guards because of the restrictions down here. Pretty handy. As you come on up the hive, we've got this entrance wheel here, which you can give full access. You can make it just ventilation, or you can make it an excluder. So that's pretty handy. Here we've got an ID holder. I'm used to using the cattle tag, so I'll probably just slip me a cattle tag in there. I like that. Very nice. Now, you notice these little rounded entrances for the bees to go in, like little tunnels. If we flip this around and stand it up so you can see inside, you can see the bottom is very well vented, and you're going to notice this brown section in the middle. That is a pollen trap. That's one very unique feature about Apimaye hives. They come with a pollen trap. It's not an extra feature, it comes with it. And I really like that. I'm very excited and anxious to put bees in here and see how well this works. Now, granted, you wouldn't want to use the pollen trap on a new colony. You would want them to keep their pollen so they're able to raise brood. They need the pollen in order to raise brood, let's put it that way. So, and when you are harvesting pollen from the bees, you shouldn't do it day after day. Maybe do it one day a week or one day every 3 weeks. Space it out. Let the bees have their resources. But anyway, this is removable, and I want to show you how that's done right now. So we come here to the back of the hive, and you can see we've got 2 drawers. There's one here, and there's one here. This one is the pollen trap. So you simply grab it, give it a little tug, and you pull it out. It's just that simple. Now your bottom is fully vented. Now I do want to note that when you remove the pollen trap, down in this little drawer where the pollen would fall, there is this little red device. This is a stopper, and you want to insert this in the spot where the pollen trap goes so bees aren't using that as an entrance or pest. Small hive beetles could get right in there if that's not plugged off. Now when we are using it for pollen, we put this back in. Now I want to note this little slot here at the top. That goes in first. And another way to identify which end goes in first, if you feel the bottom edge on this, there's nothing to grab. Whereas on this end, you've got like a little handle to grab to pull it out. So we'll slide this back in. It's literally just that simple, folks. Now we're collecting pollen. You slide it in. Now your pollen will fall out on this tray down here, the one in the middle. And you're probably asking, well, why the one in the middle? Well, this is to catch your pollen. This one down here, if you're not harvesting pollen and you've got this pulled out, we're not harvesting pollen anymore. We're going to plug this off. Now we're going to let the ventilation work on the hive from the bottom, but we're also going to maybe take an extra step and put some diatomaceous earth down here so that any small hive beetle larva that falls through the vented bottom lands in this and dies. Or maybe you want to cover it with Vaseline. Any mites that fall, they're surely going to be stuck. So that's an option too. Now, with this extra tray, it keeps the pollen up out of your gunk, whatever you got on here. So that's why you have the extra tray in the bottom. So it's a very unique setup, and it all works very, very well. I've had this pollen trap out a dozen times at least, and it has never given me any problems just sliding into place and being ready to use. So very unique feature there with the Apimaye hives. So let's put the frames back in it and we'll work our way up the hive, and I'll show you how to assemble it and what else is included. Okay, so put the frames back in. And you know, before I put all the frames back in, there is one feature I want to show you. Let me remove the pollen trap. these two division boards come with the Ergo Plus Hive kit. And there is a difference in them, and they're labeled. If you look down here at the bottom, this one says Ergo Brood Board. This one says Ergo Super Board. So this one goes in the top box if I wanted to use it, and this one goes in the bottom. And to use them, like I said, you do have to remove the pollen trap and put in your stopper. So in these hives, in the back, there is a groove in the front and the back. This divider board can go in there, and I can put a colony on this side with 4 frames, and I can put a colony on this side with 4 frames. So let's say in the winter time or in the fall, I find a couple colonies that are weak. I don't really think they have a good chance, but I want to try and provide the best for them I can. I could put them in something like this. They're going to help keep each other warm, and they're in a box that has an R value of 6.93. So, wow. To give you an idea, a wooden box is anywhere between 1.15 and a 1.25 on the R value scale. So there's a big difference there. Now on the division boards, we've got some options. We've got completely blocked, we've got queen excluder, and here we've got where the pheromones can transfer from one colony to the other. So we've got many options here with these division boards. I do want to note though that the pollen trap has to come out, and you have to make sure that you have the right division board for that box. Otherwise you could have a space under it that the bees could transfer from one side to the other. Another neat thing is with the top box, the top super here, having a division board, is you could make it so that this colony on this side and this colony on this side have an additional 4 frames in the top box, and they can never get together. Now keep this in mind when we get to the feeders. Let me put this back together, get my pollen trap back in, the rest of the frames. These are frame spacers to keep your frame spaced, and they can stay in the hive. It is not going to impede on anything, but if you don't want to use them, sure, you can remove them. We've got a queen excluder. What I like about it, the first thing I noticed, a lot of people say that the queen excluders tear the bees' wings. Well, I've never really witnessed that, but one thing I do commonly look at on queen excluders is whether the bars are rounded or have a square edge. And these are rounded. They feel very smooth. I don't really see them causing any problems to the bees' wings. I do want to note, it does only go in one way. On the bottom, it has these little spikes. These go down, not up. So it would go on just like so. Now we would take our super and set right on top, and if we turn this to the side, you'll notice these latches. Each latch has 2 adjustments on it. There's 2 different places that you can put your little lock ring. You can put it in the bottom one or in the top one. Well, you're probably wondering, why is there 2? Do I want to have it tighter sometimes than others? No, that's not why that is. When you have the queen excluder in there, you have to use the bottom adjustment because it's thicker in there now. When you don't have the queen excluder in there, then you come to the top. And I'll explain the same thing. It's pretty much works the same way on the top, working your way up, depending if you add anything in here that adds space. So if you question it, if you're on the wrong one, like for instance, if I take this one on the top with the queen excluder and I try and push down on it real hard, I can tell that we're going to cause some damage. So if you question it, always go to the lesser of the 2, just like so. So I'll go ahead and lock the other side so I can spin it back around with ease. Now, one thing I want to show you, these handles that are on these boxes are extremely strong. I had this whole setup put together last night, and I moved it out of the way just by grabbing these handles and lifting it. That makes it very easy if you do any kind of pollination service to just load and carry hives. So we've got to this part. We've discussed the division boards a little bit. I told you there's one for the bottom and one for the super, which this would be the super. Now let's talk about the top box, or the top hive feeders, which snap on just like so. Let's move you in a little closer here so you can get a better look. Okay, so that's how they snap on, and I do want to note that these act as your inner cover. So whether you're feeding or not, these would stay on. Now if we take these clear pieces out, I'll set them off to the side for a minute. Let me just flip those upside down so you can see what it looks like from the bottom. You see all them perforated slots going around here? That adds ventilation. A lot of ventilation. You see that? You also notice these slots. That's where the bees would go up and in to get to the feed, or the food that you add to the inside. And they both got those. So let's flip them back on over as they would go. You would put your syrup or your candy or your pollen patty, whatever you're feeding, would go in here. Now these, you see how they're shaped. One side here is longer than the other side. So, and there's a reason for that. In these compartments is where these go. And they can go one of two ways depending on what you're feeding. Now if we look in here, you can see there's an opening towards the bottom down here. And what that's for, the bees can come up and over the ladder on the inside, and they can actually get out and walk and come across and eat your fondant, whatever you're feeding in here. Pollen patty, whatever it may be. They can go back around, crawl back down the ladder, and back into the hive. When you flip it around the other way, now there is no way for the bees to get into this compartment. They can simply come up over their ladder and stay within this clear plastic area and eat their syrup. So if we're feeding syrup, we would want the longer side towards the outside of these little setups, like so. Now, earlier I mentioned to keep the division boards in mind, and the reason for that is, as you notice, these feeders are two halves. So if our division board was in here right now, and we had a colony on this side of the box and a colony on this side, what that enables us to do is feed those colonies separately, because it's not like we can put one great big top feeder on here and the bees come back up and go back where they're supposed to. That's not going to work. So having the separate feeders allows you to feed each colony separately, and these are half-gallon feeders. So now we work our way on up to the insulated top cover. Now this is very, very, very durable. I can tell you just by lifting it, trying to flex it, it doesn't bend, folks. This is top notch. Top notch. See these vents here on the end? Both ends have those. So you think about this. You've seen all the perforation in the bottom board for the air to come up through. We've got all this perforation going around the feeders for the air to continue rising. And then we've got these vents where the moisture can then wick back out. Very, very nice. So that's how the lid goes on. Turn it back around here and we'll latch it up. Like so. And like that. So as I was telling you about these handles being very, very strong, look at this, folks. That's 2 10-frame boxes, a bottom board, 2 feeders, and a very, very durable lid. One thing I want to note besides the latches though, note this groove going down the top cover. Well, that is for, let's say you are going to do some pollination and you need to throw some hives in the back of your truck. You latch these down, now they're secure, they're not going to come apart, but you don't want them sliding around the bed of your truck. So you winch strap them down. Right here's where your winch strap would run across, right across this, back down to the bed of your truck. And I also want to note these little indentations. That's specifically designed for another Apimaye bottom board to lock right on. So you could take another one of these setups, set right on top of here, run your straps through the lid, and you'd be good to go. I tell you, this is the first time I've got a close look at an Apimaye hive, and the design, the time put into design is mind-blowing. They put hours and hours into thinking all this stuff out, folks. I'm very pleased, very anxious to get some bees in it, and yeah, see where it takes me, see how they do in it. So yeah, so what I'd like to do now is I want to bring in the Wood Hive upgrade kit and show you what was included in that. So what we have here is the Apimaye Wood Hive upgrade kit. And just like the other kit, I spent a little time last night going through the manual just so I knew what I had here, and I wanted to be able to show you all of the features. And the manual made it very easy to do that, and it's only 10 pages, folks. And just like the last manual, it's far more detailed than any other manual I've ever looked at. I highly recommend you look through the instructions before you go prying and breaking parts. So what's included in the Apimaye Wood Hive upgrade kit? You're going to get a bottom board with all of the standard features that come with any of the Apimaye bottom boards. And on the bottom of the bottom board, you're going to point out that there is some lag screws. You can see them here. They go all the way around, and that's so you can secure your wood box to the base of the hive. So, just like I said, you've got your pollen trap, just like on the Ergo set. You've got your bottom tray, which has the 2 trays, and the stopper. Remember, there again, got the slot up here. That goes in first. Got your handle down here. We'll slam that up in there. So, the only real difference between this and your standard Apimaye bottom board is this landing board here, which flips up. And they actually include a lock that you can screw to your box that would go in this position right here and lock your landing board up if you were going to transport some hives. Even with these being down here that you can close, you just never know what could bump them and knock one open. So having this is just double security, that nobody's letting your bees out unless they unlock this and then come in here and open these slots. So, and the weight of this is you can just tell it's very durable plastic. I do want to say that Apimaye uses all food grade plastic for their hives. Depending on which Wood Hive upgrade kit you purchase, you may get latches included, and that's the same latches that were on the Ergo kit. Comes with all the screws and the hardware. Now, one thing I did learn talking to Corhan of Apimaye is that sometimes these latches happen to work out on wooden boxes where your handholds are. So if that's the case, they suggest you use longer screws, I believe he said in the bottom holes. So just something to note, some handholds are in the place where these would go. So you may have to make some slight modifications, but it's definitely a good idea to have these just the way it all locks together. It's nice and secure. You don't have to worry about it blowing over and falling apart. Everything stays contained. You get an insulated inner cover. Very, very durable. Got the locks already on each side. Or half of the latch, I guess I should say. These are ventilated just like the Ergo kit. And then you're going to get 2 of the top feeders. Now, to do a little demonstration, I don't know how this would look. I don't want to have any competition with names here or anything, since I'm doing an Apimaye video, but I couldn't help but think, man, my Hoover Hive box would look sweet on that bottom board. So there's how your bottom board, or your hive would sit on your bottom board. You would run them screws up through into the wood. Now that's all secure. You've got screws that you can run in here to the box so that these aren't moving in and out. And actually, right in the middle here, there is a place for a screw to run into the box. So now everything would be nice and secured. Now you could go ahead and add your little lock if you wanted to the front of the box, or if you don't, then set it to the side, don't use it. Your top feeders go on just like so, and they fit the box perfectly. There's no movement. The only thing that wants to move is the bottom keeps wanting to slide off, or the box wants to slide off of their plastic bottom, and that's just because of the wax on the box and the slippery plastic. So I can see how the screws in the bottom board would be very handy, but I'm very impressed on how tight that fits. There's no play at all. You throw on your top cover, wham, you're done. Look at that. Isn't that nice? That just looks nice. So I know there's a lot of people that have interest in Apimaye equipment, but they already own a bunch of wooden boxes. This would be a good way for you to start upgrading them wooden boxes. You could get the Apimaye bottom board, put your wooden box on it, start building up your colonies, and then get the feeders to feed them when you're not having any flow, and then you get your insulated top cover to keep them cool in the summer and keep the heat in during the winter. Sounds like a plus to me. What do you think? So what did you think, folks? I'll tell you, I've been beekeeping for 13 years, and over those 13 years there's been a handful of different plastic hives thrown my direction for me to experiment with and try. And one of them, what was it, the Shamrock mating box, I believe. It wasn't insulated, but it was a plastic box. The plastic held up very well over time, but out of all of the hives I've ever seen in my 13 years, I've never seen one where they took as much time and put into the design of how everything works together and without any flaws. Like I said, that Pollen Trap, I've slid it in and out. It doesn't matter how many times you take it in and out. It seems like it goes right into the right spot every single time. There is no fidgety wobbling it back and forth to get it to go in its spot. You slide it in, it's ready to rock and roll, and that's a good thing. Now in the future, when propolis gets in there and different things, I wonder how it will hold up as far as sliding in and out. But at the same time, I've heard it said that bees will not propolize as plastic as much as they will wood. So maybe there will be less propolization done, and that won't be a problem. But that's something I will be keeping track of over the course of this summer and the future of the equipment. So, and I don't see it going away anytime soon. It's very well made. So anyway, I just wanted to share the unboxing kind of give you my first impressions of it and to give you a rundown on how it all looks together. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them down below. I appreciate you taking the time and watching this. I hope it was entertaining, or maybe I even taught you something. So if you liked it, slam that like button down below. Don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell so you get notified when I release new videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week, folks. Have a good week. What do you think of the hives, Ladybug? Do you like Apimaye? Do you like them? Do you think they make high quality bee equipment? Do you think so? Did you check it out real good? Did you?